Dad used to play this on 7-inch, man. Real.
The whole world, you know,
I learned from it.
there's a million boys and girls.
Now what everybody else to learn from
who
it.
are
Come on, let's flip it on them. Let's flip it.
The passion and dedication that Coach Horace brings to the pitch are inspiring, but there's more to his story. Let's continue our conversation and explore the heart of a coach who truly cares.
As you were just talking about the young people and stuff, could you tell me, like, what's the biggest challenge young athletes face today, and like how do you help them navigate it?
Because I have been in various different working groups and community groups, I think the biggest challenge what a lot of the youths are having to cope with is who they are, what they are, and how do they need to be and should be. And then they struggling constantly of this image or this misrepresentation by individuals of what is it to be them as a young person. And what I try to then do is within my environment, when I've got them, when they're in my house in a sense, I try to then get rid of that, but basically let's all stop this, let's just, or whatever's going out there. It's like the virus what's outside, but the virus doesn't come inside here.
Yeah,
and try and keep it real, whatever. Because I in one way I haven't got much control because they're gaining all the time. Because when we were young, basically we didn't have so many various different distractions of social media and emails and TikTok and Snapchat and this and that, whatever. What's bombarded them about you need to be, you got to be, you should be, constantly all the time, which then they then fight against. But when they come to football, this is it. All these other things, yes, the only thing I'm dealing with is attitude, but I can deal with attitude because attitude, it can be changed. But they can do whatever they need to do outside, but when you're here, the attitude can be a little more, why are you doing that? And I can explain the reason why not to do it, and then it's a bit more clearer, because even to the point when they're watching it on TV, you've got to give them an explanation of why that is not acceptable, how that doesn't work it may work for him, but it may not work for you, and it's like re-educating them information what they are receiving for them to understand what they actually are seeing and what they are exposed to.
And to finish off this little segment, what's the most rewarding part of working with the next generation of footballers?
You know what?
No one's ever asked you that before, have they?
Not really, because it's because you just do it, but the rewarding thing is I think it's more about them not getting institutionalized by the society, where jail shouldn't be an option, or carrying shouldn't be an option, or you know what, if I don't become a footballer, well, I've got to then do this. I didn't become a footballer, but I'll be a banker. I'm not a banker, I want to be a scientist. Or it's like, that's the rewarding thing when you ask them, what are you doing now? Yeah, I've got this job now, I work for this. And then the reward is basically, I've got them through those very difficult
narratives.
Narratives of getting through it all to the point where they got through it all, where basically they've stayed real and able to go, no, I've got my path. And when you see them, you go, I was that little dot, or I was that little seed where they would go back to and go, because you know, they go to teachers and go, what did that teacher say when I was young? Or what did that person say when I was young? What did that social worker say to me? What did that learning support said to me? Whatever. And then that's what keep them real. So the more realness they get in, the more they go, no. So I think that's the rewarding thing, and I think that's why I can walk the street and kind of go, I touched his life, touched his life, touched his life, touched his life, touched his life. And I think I see it more recently when I see the gratitude when that thing went on TikTok. It wasn't planned, it wasn't organised, and the gratitude of individuals when they were at school or where have supported them in some of those other places where I've worked. And they
all come through in the comments.
It all came through in all of the comments. And then you kind of go, wow, I didn't know that you felt like that, because it wasn't ever said to me to my face or made me feel that basically that you are indebted to me. But I do see individuals on the street, oh, there's Mr. Francis, oh my God, how are you? Oh my, if it wasn't for you. And you go, if it wasn't for you, you don't realise when they say that, indirectly you kind of have saved them, but then you think, what have I saved them from? But I know what I've saved them from that.
It's like you see like a bike chain then. So
Yeah.
while you've been talking, you're trying to think of a metaphor.
Yeah.
So you've got a bike chain, yeah?
Yeah.
And the young people are the chain itself.
Yeah.
But we, because I've done the youth sport work and everything along them lines, and everything you're saying now, I kind of see some of the young people who I work with, they're in the 30s now.
Yeah.
And they've got nothing but love and manners, and I think, you was back in the day, but like you said, the things and how we are or how we've been with these young people, because it's like you, I've always been real.
Yeah.
And it's the realness that other people can't stand.
Yeah.
Like the institution or the corporations.
Yeah, you don't say, you're supposed to say it like it is. No, you need to say it as it is.
Yeah.
Because they'll respect you better.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is, with a bike chain, to hold the bike chain together, you need links.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So people like we, more time you then, have been that link.
Yeah.
That's held.
Yeah.
So they can go out there and cycle forward in life.
Yeah. There's one thing when somebody said to me, goes, Harry, like even with football, he goes, all up a man, so that can do this and do that. And I'm going, yeah. He goes, but Horace, everybody's got a pure love for you because you say you're going to do it, you've done it. You say you're going to take, like even when I went to London, I said I want to sort out to go to London, play against this academy team, do KKs. And it's like, the youths are looking at me going, yeah. And then I've done it. And I went, but it was nothing to me, but to them, even though we lost, the experience of jumping on the coach, the experience of going playing against academy lads, the experience of in that stadium, that will be in their head for a long time and go, who done it? But now I'm starting to realise those little things what I think are just insignificant are massive to them, knowing that if you're coming out of the concrete jungle and you're taking them away from what they're used to that environment, even to the point where somebody says to me, they says, Horace, do you realise what you're doing when you're because they're in uniform. They go to another football team, they're not uniform like that, they're just a football team. Yeah, they might be a little better, but your boys will have that uniformy thought in their head as they're getting through life, because they'll know what organisation is and what proper is and what's just raggedy, and why it's important to train and why it's important to whatever. And so you don't realise you're pumping something in them. So when they then go into their adult life, in the sense they go into year 11,
You put in building blocks.
yeah, I didn't realise I was doing
You're
it.
laying the foundations.
Yeah.
You're planting the seed to produce that tree, and yeah, you're planting the seed to produce that tree, which is the young person growing the tree. And when they actually grow to a certain age and start doing certain things, having their own babies, living a constructive life, being so positive, and realizing themselves that, you know what, everything that someone did for me, I can do it as well and give it back.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
fruit. That's the
Yeah.
fruits of the labour.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know I'm dealing with now, which I think is is lateness? The lateness, but it's all right, whatever. And I know that if I get that right, and even though they can still be late, I don't know, later on they'll go, no, say 8 o'clock, we need to be there at 8 o'clock. And they will then organise themselves like that. But because I've fed it, and then I've dropped off it now, they all now realising that the reason why I'm doing that, because it makes them realise that basically why it's important. It gives us more time, you can have a drink, you can do this, you can do that. That is the reason why Horace is doing what he's doing. But they, like you said, you plant the seed, not realising that you actually are fertilising them when you're watering them. But as you're watering them, they realise, wait a minute, I'm growing. And then what's strange as well, which they don't realise, is that the training what they've been having, the pumping of information of health, healthy mind, healthy body, attitude, whatever, they're big. These lads now are big lads now, and they're men.
And they're starting to put a little piece of weight on as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's under 14 boys are now big boys now, whatever. And
Young
I know
adults.
they are, whatever, the adults. So I now realise basically that the way I have to then change the way I am now. I now need to then be more young adult with them, which then will prepare them when they go to sixth form college, they go to college, or they go to work. Because if I don't set it now, they will not survive in this quite cruel world out there. We're basically like, whatever. So that's why I thought, let them have a break. Let them have a break, and then it's like, God, this has changed. It wasn't like this when we were under 12, under 13, under 14, under 15. God, it's like proper now. So they then see the difference of proper and just raggedy, take your money each month, kick 2 ball.
Real talk. So, onto some community work and like your representation. So, how does your work in the community intersect with your coaching?
I think the major one was the community work was one the holiday programs that I was doing for about probably 5 or 6 years, in trying to provide them with free activity, and ensuring that they were getting food, ensuring that they're basically making friends, and also on top of that is trying to include the community individuals involved in the project. So then basically that they seeing people out there, either the parents or their organisations, to come involved in what I was doing. That's what I've always done, and then pay them. And then another aspect was that I was doing community work, and I was doing as a community leader with the local authority regarding stop and search and the issue of young people not understanding the law, not understanding aspects of how they need to behave, and all those kind of bits. So because of my knowledge in that, I'm able to then share those knowledge to help and support young people when they are faced with issues of the local authority, example the police, and also about the fact that basically that we have a voice, what we can kind of complain to or have dialogue with in relation to how they feel or what's going on in their life. So it's kind of like being in those meetings, and I always said this, I never like to go to these meetings, these community meetings, and just be a face. I want to be able to go back to my community and then be the spokesperson or the person who will share what you just said. The person what goes, right, I want to get you involved. Let me just see if I can get you and get you involved. When I did community interface, I got young people who talked about their experience to tell them face to face that this is how I was stopped and searched. This is how I felt when you came in and kicked off my door, for them to give them the answer. So I kind of gave that door opening, one for the community to tell them, but also for them to give their explanation for their reasons why they're doing what they're doing. Because there is an issue there of the local authority speaking to the local community, particularly the ethnic minorities, where it just seems that we don't get listened to, or how feelings don't get heard, etc., etc. So I've tried to then bridge that gap by me then attending this meeting, me then kind of saying, look, these things need to change because the community are getting further and further away from you and disengaging with you, and these are the reasons why you need to talk to the community. So
Okay, so like that actually brings you into the next question. Why is it important for young black athletes, sports stars, young people in general to have strong mentors, especially within sports?
I think having strong mentors is the primary need for individuals to progress from, because they're not within, let's say football, if I give an example, they're taking young youths at the age of 6 and 7, at that early age. You have families who have no idea, no understanding about how the athletics or the football, how it works, in a sense that basically you could just be sending your child to this and also as well without any support, because the support is the most crucial thing for any athlete if you've got a child who is put in the professional kind of environment, because they need to know all the pitfalls, all the issues what they need to be aware of as the age you're going up and up and up and up, even to the point of having that mentor to deal with disappointment, the issues of injury, the issues of dealing with their financial affairs, whatever, but honest, respectful affairs where basically like, you're not putting all your life onto giving your life to somebody and you don't know if they've got your best interests at the forefront, whatever. And that's why I think at the present moment is that if you have a good mentor and you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden you take a pitfall, you need someone to say, right, come on, right, let's leave it for a while, leave it, let's just try and work on it, let's work on this. Because if you continue without anybody giving this proper support, you then end up all on your own, and then you got the other issue of the mental health issue and the neglect, etc., etc. So it's so important, particularly, I think particularly with football, where it's very, very a cutthroat kind of business. You're right, you could be good today and you could be really, really bad tomorrow. And that mentor will keep you going, will develop your mental strength, mental determination, because it's so necessary within the sport.
Okay, so do you think football is doing enough to support diversity and inclusion?
Well, that's very interesting. I'm just being contacted by the FA, England FA. I think they're called the EDIs. I think where basically they deal with the ethnic minorities in relation.
DEIs.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with. I don't know if you're around tomorrow. I've got a meeting with this individual. He's meeting me for 2:30 tomorrow here.
I'm on gallery trip with uni.
Oh.
But I'm in nuts though, so if I can... 2:30, I'll write it down anyway.
Yeah. But or I can rearrange it.
No, don't rearrange it.
No, I mean rearrange it for you to the meeting because he's based East Midlands.
Okay.
So he's found me and he goes, "Oh my God, you're brilliant! And you got all these lads, you know." And he did a training session with all the lads a couple of months ago when they were doing on Melbourne Park as an FA. So he wants to, within his role, with this other guy who's the head of it, to develop the issues of the ethnic minorities in sports, particularly football. And they are underrepresented in every different areas of what they call it. I've tried to explain to them that, because they have regular meetings, that the situation we have is what when I was at school. I said, when I was at school, you was told you don't think about university, don't think about
What, as a black individual?
There wasn't. They're the things. What your basketball, football, just get a labouring job or something like that. Now within football, there's so many different types of jobs, and one of the jobs what they never ever seem to see as an option, because it's not ever put as an option, is reffing, linesman, management. We have various different individuals as role models of management. They should get that serious job, whatever, but they can't. They just can't stomach the fact that if you have an England manager or you have somebody who's doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden so the image at the present moment is you could probably do division. You could probably do Division 3, possibly 1 or 2 Division 2. But thinking about going anything higher, thinking about going reffing, thinking about doing something whatever, it isn't a real option, and it's not equal at the present moment because it's not seen. So the youths that are growing up are looking up, going, "Oh no, we don't do that. We do this."
Yeah.
So it's not out there at the moment, and I said that's the problem because I never seen it like this. Yeah, because I was at school, and that was the thing. You're going to be a footballer. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. Sports, not a career, not an electrician, not a this, not a this, not a that, whatever. Now, within football, that is the same thing. No, you can't. I've only probably seen one black referee. Only one. When I was growing up, there was probably 1 or 2 of them, and they were quite well known, these guys, but it's not a norm. It's not a norm. The norm is pure white. The young ones, the young kids growing up, whatever, the referee they see, all white.
And 90% of them are going to have that biasness in their head anyway.
Exactly. So that's why that biasness on the football pitch is ongoing. It's ongoing because the biasness is what basically I have the power, you haven't. I will make if I let's say someone who yells and screams at them from their supporters, and their team is predominantly black, and you got that white team, they will go, "I'm having that fucker. I'll make sure he knows, whatever." Right, penalty. What? And then that's it. And then you retaliate. You then become aggressive. It's just that
it's the same narrative.
Yeah, it is all the time. So the fact of the matter is, until they break that narrative about basically these referees being
you got somebody.
Hello.
Hi, sorry.
Oh, what